Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to fabricate a clutch actuator slash case saver for the Yamaha 250MX project. Its purpose is to prevent the chain from coming off and breaking the case. You're going to save. It's going to eliminate this piece, which has your clutch actuator in it, and it's going to provide protection for this case. So we're going to make it bolt right here, these two bolt places, and this rod is going to come through it, and it's going to just come around here, give it enough room for the chain and gear to to clear it. And we're going to use aluminum to build that. So let me get some stuff together here and we'll start. Okay, what we're going to do is, you're probably wondering, how are we going to actuate the clutch? Well, we're going to come with our cable through underneath here, and this bracket we're going to make is just going to extend above it, and the clutch cable will actually come up to it. Then there'll be a pivot somewhere about right here, and it will pivot against this, and that it's just going to push it in, and that will actuate the clutch. And then the base piece that bolts on here is going to do the protecting. This piece here is going to be made, this is 3/8, what is that, 1 1/4 I think, 3/8 wide by 1 1/4 wide this way. And like I say, it will bolt here and here, and it'll have a hole in it to pivot here, and it'll just be cut out around this. And then we'll use this piece. This is 1/2 inch hexagon aluminum, 6061, and it will be a pivot, and it will actually be where the clutch cable hooks onto, and then when you pull your lever on the handlebar, it will push in on the clutch here. So the first thing I need to do is just get in here with a piece of paper and try to get my I've got 3 things that I really need to capture, and that is this bolt hole, the rod, and that bolt hole. That's really all we're after with the paper. Really, it's not a big deal. You're just going to go ahead and pull your rod out, and I've just cut this paper where it can kind of lay here, I think. I'm going to try to tape it a little bit, see if that's helpful, just so it doesn't kind of move on you while you're trying to get your locations, because it's sure wanting to. Okay, maybe that'll hold good enough. So we're just wanting this whole location up here, and feel around and find it. And the same with our seal here. And then we got, oops, just what I was afraid was going to happen. All right, let me get a new piece of paper and start over. All right, let's try this again. Got a little more tape on it. First, I'm gonna find my hole, and I'm gonna use this pencil eraser. Okay, pretty much see it there, and here. Get the seal location where the pin's going to come through, and let's see, where is it? Right there. Yeah. Okay, I think I got it that time. Okay, so I just taped the template that I made onto my material, and I'm just going to try to get these as close as I can to the center mark. They can be a little oblong. It's not going to make a whole lot of difference if it is. Let's do the best that we can. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and drill these holes here, and we'll see how close we are. And the only other thing that I need to make sure of on this piece is to extend it a little bit up here. I can always cut it off. I'll just run it about right there, and that way I should have plenty. You've just got to get over the top of the case there. This is, of course, where the push rod goes through, and then you've got a lower bolt and an upper bolt. So you just need enough to be able now to trim off. Now it'll have kind of an L shape, and we've got to cut out kind of a little scallop here for the sprocket and chain to clear. And then once we've done that, we can kind of come back and make a little L up here too, because we don't need all that material. You can put it, I've seen some of them made at an angle where it kind of goes at an angle, but I much prefer to have it parallel with the case on this side. I just think it looks better, and it actually gives you a little bit more material. Okay, I've just got it temporarily mounted here, and this is where we may have to take more out when we get a chain in there so we can really see what's going on. I think this is going to be enough, but I don't need all this extra here. So down here, all I needed it for was to put a little dog leg just to get this screw hole here in position. And we'll be drilling another hole probably right about here. And that's where the cable will come through, and it'll come underneath the intake manifold there. So let's get ready to cut this little dog leg out of there. Okay, so that's our fit at this time. Like I say, we may have to take a little bit more out right here. I'll have to get a piece of chain and wrap it around there, just make sure we've got enough clearance. And see that, if this is the case saver portion of this, that if that chain comes off, it's going to hit this. Not that these two screws are going to do a whole lot, but you're pushing against this case, which is 4 more screws. So it's going to substantially hinder or reduce the damage. Like I say, I'll just have to get a piece of chain and see where we're at on this. We may have to go just a little bit more. Of course, it's going to take the clutch shaft out, no doubt. But at least you're not tearing up what is today probably a $300 or a $400 cover. I'm going to start on what I guess we'd call the pivot. I'm just at this point just looking to true up the end of this piece here. Get the saw cut off of it. Okay, so that makes that a nice finish there. Okay, I'm going to make this about, pretty much 3/4 by 3/4. Okay, I gotta get some on the other side here too. Okay, I'm going to drill a hole. That'll actually be our pivot, and then I'll actually cut the middle of this out to accept the 1/2-inch hexagon rod that's actually going to put the force on it. This is just going to be the pivot area. So it's best now to get the hole in there, because once we do that, you're going to have I don't know, these are going to be not very wide, probably 3/16 of an inch or something like that. The pivot areas on both sides, but we won't go down all the way. We've got the bottom part here will be closed, and then we'll weld this onto the piece that we just made. Okay, now we need to find the center of this to cut our slot in there. Okay, at this point, we saw the wiggler wiggle out, and what we'll do now is set that to, so we've got our Y to 0, and we'll come back down here and lift it up. And go back the other way. Right there. So we go back up here and we go half, and our y-axis. See if I can get you over here where you can see a little better. Now I'm going to run that back until I'm zeroed out on my DRO. Should be right there. Looks about right. Okay, we're going to start our cut now. Okay, so I took 0.8 more, 4 out of each side, to give it some clearance for this piece to go in there and to pivot. So that should be okay. Okay, I think we're to the point where we need to cut it off. And cut it right here. And then this bottom piece will be welded on to the other piece. And hopefully we've got the pivot right here. It's kind of a wag, if you know what I mean. So let me get this set up over in the bandsaw and let's cut it off. Okay, this is our pivot and it'll be welded wherever our location is going to end up being. I've got to cut the piece that's going to be the pusher for the clutch rod, so I'll do that next. And we've got to be pretty close here so we can have the most amount of leverage. Kind of thinking maybe about there. So we need basically to cut a piece of the hex that will from here to here. Okay, so if we've got our pivot here, and our push rod right there. So you can kind of see now how things are going to work, I think. So this, we've got to have some pretty good leverage here. So that's, I think, good. So what we need to do is first get our pivot hole drilled in here so we know where we've got to cut out this edge here and put a hole in there for the rod to go in. And it can't go in very far, but it does need to go in. So let me take a look at that. And let me find a bolt. Okay, we've got our bolt in here, and we've just got to try to get this straight. I think we want to do everything that we need to do to this before we weld it. So I've got to figure out where this point is going to be for the shaft in relation to where the block is here. And then we'll eventually have another hole here for the cable to come into, and a little slot in the top with a hole back here for the cable to connect to. Okay, let me do some looking and thinking here. Okay, this is where the push rod is going to go. We're going to have to drill a hole, actually a couple of them in there, different sizes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spot face this first so that I can drill it. Then I'm going to drill one that the push rod will fit in, then one that's below it that'll be 3/16, and one below it that's 1/8. And the 3/16 one, we will insert and Loctite a 3/16 steel ball. And the one below it is just a little bit, just drilled a little depth so that the ball will seat completely in the 3/16 hole. And that will give us a wear factor for pushing on the rod. Otherwise, I think the aluminum would wear out pretty fast. So the first thing I'm going to do is spot this ridge up here so that I can drill it. should be good. And we'll try to get centered on this piece. Okay, I've got the 3/16 hole done, and now we're going for the 1/8. Just a little bit to let the ball kind of go down into there. I think that should be good. Okay. Okay, I think we've got it here. Our ball is just going to set right down in there with some Loctite. It should press in, and that will actually ride right on the shaft or the push rod. Hopefully. Hopefully it's all lined up. Okay, I think we're good. Hope so. And clean that little ball capture out there, and do the same thing with the ball. Blow that out right now. Okay. Just going to put a little red Loctite. Punch and hammer and set it. Okay. Should stay. Okay, so we've got really the only thing left to do is to cut a slot up here for the cable. There'll be a hole and a slot through the top so you can pull it just like you do anytime. You pull it a little beyond, let the end drop into the hole, and then it'll go from there. Okay, now we're going to drill this will be the hole for the cable to come through. Okay, this one gets tapped, 8mm 125, because this will use a handlebar adjustment I've got a used one. I'm probably going to have to get a new one. But this will actually go in from the back side. And that'll give you some adjustment down here that you wouldn't have otherwise. Okay, so here's the setup. Like I say, the cable will come underneath here and right into the adjuster there. And this piece here, I made it a little long so I can go ahead and cut it off some. And actually, probably before I do that, I'll go ahead and slot it and drill the hole where the cable goes in. We'll get all that set up before we weld it on. I'm trying to deal with this cable, where the cable's going to go. Go at this real easy here. I can get yeah, I think that's good. And now we need the one going all the way through for the cable to go through. 5/32, I think. Okay, this one here, I'll probably have to make this just a little bit deeper, but this one here will go all the way through. That's for the cable, and then we'll slot it at the top. Just about through it. I believe that's all the way through. Yep, looks like it. Okay, there's our slot. And your cable will come down in here. and then it pulls in to that slot. So it's not going anywhere. Matter of fact, it's pretty tight. It's got some kind of ridges on the end there. I'm gonna have to get a pair of pliers to get it off of there. And you can see the kind of the flashing there. Okay, so I think we're just about done. The only thing that I can do probably is to I'll probably cut a little bit of the top off of this and kind of round it a little bit, I think. Let me see what I can get done. Okay, just shorten that up a little bit, put a little bit of a taper on the side, a chamfer, and turn down the top of it there. So I think we're to the point where we just need to weld it up, and we should be good. There's our little ball in there still. It should stay. And I'll probably get a lock nut to put on that, and probably I'll see if I can find a bolt that the threads, there are no threads where the pivot is. And it might be a little tall order, but we'll see what we can find. And I've got bolts in here now instead of screws. So we'll get this welded on tomorrow. And this should be done. Okay guys, there's the finished product. Just a little weld on there. This is a bigger weld over here at a bigger area, but that's okay too. So we've got our adjuster right here, and I went ahead and got a lock nut, a nylock. So all that is taken care of, and I got a longer unthreaded portion in here, so it's not, the threads aren't tearing it up inside. And give it a little grease, and now we're going to put it back on. My golly, everything lines up. How about that? Okay. The hole lines up there with the where the cable comes in, and you can see here I've got a portion of chain on, and we've got plenty of room here. Like I say, the cable will just come straight in from underneath the carburetor here and come into the adjuster right here. And I did notice that I made a boo-boo on this. This portion here should have been back here. Not a big deal. I'll go ahead and do it over here. It won't matter whether it's here or not. But I just noticed that, you know, I can't turn it around because here's the push rod area here. So I'll go ahead and put it up in the mill, and we'll open that up a little bit. Okay, got that fixed up there. If that's the worst I do, that's pretty good. That's just so this here recesses in. And that's just like it was on the other side. Okay guys, there's the finished product. So we'll see when we get it on the, or in the frame, you know, everything, it should. I've done this before, and all you've got to do is just run your cable around instead of down. Usually there's enough room. If there's not, you make another cable. And we did show that we had enough room with the chain on. Okay guys, there you have it. Little fabrication project for this video. We put a case saver and a clutch actuator on to replace the factory side case with the actuator in it. I'm going to lose all the screws out here, and that'll save this expensive part. One of these I've seen these go as much as $300 or $400. So you know, we need to save those if you're not running a street machine. So this is kind of shaping up over here. I've still got to finish up the rear wheel, get it on the frame. At that point I'll have a roller, and then we can kind of start assembling things. So I should be able to get back on that pretty quick now. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.